Hello everyone, welcome to 3ddesignacademy.com. In this lesson, we will continue with part 130 of constructing the car project. Okay, so let's continue on from the previous lesson and try to modify this area. So there's one thing that I noticed, and you'll notice that because we shifted the fillet a little bit to the right, or to the rear of the vehicle, basically this point is a little bit mismatched between here and here. So I'm going to try and see if I can make this fillet a little bit bigger so that it matches here and still be able to achieve a peak over here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to grab all these. I probably should grab the curve too. And I'm just going to make the fillet a little bit bigger. Okay, so this one, I'm just going to hide it over here. And this curved surface I can delete. And let's see, I'm just going to trim both pieces like this. And I'm going to do a surface fillet. So it's going to be a little bit bigger than 125, 135, 137. Looks like I can go 140. Okay, so it looks like we're pretty close over here, maybe a little bit bigger, 142. Okay, so I think that's pretty close, and I think we should set that as our target. That said, however, because of the move over here, now this, I do have to push it in a little bit. So I'm going to see if that'll have any effect on the peak. And it looks like we still have a peak, barely, but we still have a peak, so I'm pretty happy with that. So let's continue with that. Okay, so so I'm just going to set the fillet here anyways, and I probably have to adjust all these, and I have to adjust all these surfaces up here. So I'm not going to match it perfectly, and I'm just going to leave it like this. Okay, that said, however, I do need to clean up the CV structure. So let me just undo this. And you know what? I'm just going to connect the dots from here to here and just make it quick. Okay, so I'm just going to project it over here from Y and here like this. Just going to trim, and I'm going to finish it off with the square. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Explicit control on, and that's good. Okay, I'm just going to delete the curves on both sides. The highlight here still looks pretty good. Okay, so now I think we are pretty close to being able to put a fillet. That said, okay, so that's done. Okay, so I'm going to, well, actually it's probably not going to run until up to this point anyway, so let's go ahead. Okay, so this is the fillet over here, but I do, well, I wanted to recycle some of it. I think it might be a little bit difficult because the surface did change quite a bit. However, I'm going to check fillet is using the same dimensions, so 80 and 1. So I'm just going to grab a 80 fillet, form factor 1, default on both sides. And let's put a fillet here. Okay, so I'm just going to grab these surfaces like that. And okay, so we were able to do it up to this point. I'm going to put Bezier surface on just so that the CV structures are probably, now it's probably kind of hard to see, but I'm pretty sure it refined the CV structure a little bit. And now I'm just going to bring these back. Okay, so this one, I think I can probably recycle up to this point, and I'll probably be able to connect this without too much problem. I'm going to try to see if I can. Again, well, let's see. Okay, so this time maybe I'll try from the back first. Well, first of all, let me just do this surface first. So I'm just going to delete the construction history on this surface over here, and I'm going to untrim this piece over here. Like that, and I'm just going to, let's see. This should connect with this one. So let me just check. So I'm just going to project it from Y. I know there's a little CV shift over here. Okay, so it looks like I should be able to align this over here. So I'm just going to grab a line. I'm going to delete the curve and surface first. I'm going to say project G2, and I'm going to project it from Y, and that should be good. Okay, so let me just delete the curve and surface over here, and I'm going to just trim this piece over there. Okay, now let's bring this fillet back. And I probably, well, let's strike a curve and see if I can recycle this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to strike a curve here, and I'm going to strike a curve here. And if this CV structure is good, I can probably reuse it, but it looks like it needs a little bit of shift up. So unfortunately, I don't think I can. Well, let's try it. Here's what I'm going to do. I don't know if I still have the curve over here. Yes, I do. Okay, so I don't know. I'm not quite sure how much of this moved up. So I'm just going to snap a curve here and here. And I'm going to put it over here. And by its same distance, I'm just going to move it up. And I'm going to project both sides. So project over here like that. And now I'm going to realign this over here. So I'm just going to use G2. Not project, but edge. And I'm going to have blending on, blend factor 1, so that everything sort of shifts up. And I'm hoping that this is going to provide me with a good surface to work with. Now, before I do that, because this changed a little bit, I'm actually going to shift this, extend this a little bit. So I'm just going to grab this surface over here, and I'm just going to extend it like that. And I'm going to redo the fillet, or redo the line, I mean. Okay, so that's good. And let me just, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to extend this piece back like this. And I'm going to, well, first of all, bring these back over here. And now I'm going to align this piece. Oh, this, I probably don't want to align. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to align in position like this. And blend factor of 0. And I'm going to align this one over here like that. And this one, on the other hand, I'm going to align in G2. And I'm going to say edge on both sides. And I'm going to try and see if I can just redo this one. Okay, so before I do, I'm just going to hide it here. And this one, I can delete the construction history. And let's see if this will work. Now, before I do that, I do need to align this fillet over here. So I'm just going to align it like this from Y. And I'm going to see if I can just use a square. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 over here. It's curvature on both sides. It's actually looking quite promising. So let's see. Highlight actually looks pretty darn clean, and I'm happy with that. Okay, so we are able to use some of the surfaces that we made before and make this process a little bit easier. Okay, so it is curvature on both sides. It says position. Oh, okay, so I probably grabbed a wrong surface over there. Okay, so I'm just going to delete the construction history over here, and this piece over here. I should. Well, actually, let's just recycle this one as well. So I'm just going to extend it over here, and I'm going to extend it over here. And now I'm just going to align this piece over here, G2 and edge. I'm going to say partial, and I'm also going to align it over here. So like this. And I probably should have blending on. So 1 and 2. Like that, and blend factor of 1, and I'm going to realign it over here without blending on. Okay, so it looks like it's a failing on both sides. So I'm going to try and inspect what's going on. Okay, so I don't think it actually looks it looks bad. Okay, so I think it's doing the same thing that it did before. So this side probably needs to be popped up. Well, let me just make sure the continuity is good. So I'm just going to grab these one. Okay, so it's 1.0, so I'm just going to leave that. This one, on the other hand, it does need to be fitted. So I'm going to say NUV 5000. And I'm just going to, okay, so before it fails, oh, the align is still on, so I'm just going to delete the construction history over here. Actually, let me see if I can just align this piece over here. So I'm just going to grab this one, G2 align. It looks like it's failing. Okay, so it looks like it's failing tangent. So I'm just going to make sure that at least meeting tangency. And because of that, it's meeting failing curvature. So I'm just going to grab the CV, make sure that this is still okay. Just going to grab the CV and pull it up so that I can the other way before it fails tangency. And I'm going to go to this side. I'm going to try and fix that. Okay, so I'm just going to grab the CV over here to match curvature over here. Now it's meeting failing curvature over here, so I'm just going to make sure that it meets. Now it says 0.99, but I think this is just because the surface is flat, so I'm just going to leave that as is. I just don't see a point in trying to fix that one. Okay, so it looks like it's still failing. I'm just going to, okay, so now it's curvature. This one I'm just going to leave as is. Now that said, however, the CV structure on this one, I think probably needs a little bit of improvement. So you'll notice that this probably, well, let me just do a little shift to make sure that they're all clean. So I'm just going to grab all these. I'm just going to shift it slightly over here. So the shape's good. And I'm going to modify some of this so that it's okay, proportional modification. Grab these. Just going to pop that out just a little bit so that they're somewhat even. Okay. So I think the highlight doesn't look too bad, and I think that's good. Okay, so let me just trim. Now the problem is, as you can see over here, oh, actually, I'm wondering if it's actually failing curvature over here. Okay, oh, okay, so it looks like that might be a little bit too much. Okay, so I do, in this instance, I do think this actually needs to be curvature line before I meet this, because I think this CV over here is causing a bit of a problem. So you'll now notice that the transition is a little bit softer. Okay, so now that's done. Let me just go back here and make sure that this alignment over here is good. Okay, so you'll notice that it's a failing curvature over here, so I'm going to try and fix that. So let me just grab the CVs here. 5,000, and let me just try and fix those. Oh, not non-proportional modification, but I'm going to move them all together like this. I know it's failing curvature a little bit, but I'm just going to shift this. Oh, it's actually a failing tangency too. So I'm just going to grab that. And there we go. So now highlight here looks good. Highlight here looks good. It's got a nice transition over here. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so this one, I do need to bring it back from the filler layer to lead the construction history over here. And I think there's a little bit quicker than I had anticipated, which is excellent. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this piece over here, and I'm also going to project it from Y so that I can trim this piece. Let me just make sure. Okay, so I'm just going to project it from Y. That's good. I'm just going to trim. like this. So we get our surface back. And I'm also going to project all of these surfaces. So I'm going to grab this one and this one, project this curve over here, and these, and this one. I'm going to project using this surface over here. Now this one I'm just going to leave as is. I'm not going to make the modifications on the flat just yet. That'll be later. Okay, so let me just extend this a little bit back so that I can actually trim. I'm going to trim this piece over here. And now we got our nice peak back. And it doesn't look weird anymore. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so now let's go back. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me just fix this one. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Well, first of all, I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to untrim this piece over here. And I'm actually going to align it over here. So I'm just going to grab this edge and I'm going to grab this edge. So it looks like the surface underneath right now, at least as of this moment, is not necessary anymore. So I can just get rid of it. And I'm going to trim this piece over here. And I'm just going to align this piece over here like this. Okay, I know there's a little shift, but I don't think it's that critical because it's such a small shift. So I'm just going to match edge over here and just recycle this fillet like that. I'm just going to delete the construction history. And now let's rebuild this one. So I'm just going to delete the construction history on this one and hide it just for reference. And this surface we no longer need. I'm going to grab this, and now just delete the construction history on the curve. And I'm just going to use a square to fill this. Okay, so 1 isn't going to be curvature, 4 is going to be curvature, and I'm just going to see the section over here, and I'm just going to do a little bit of boundary blend so that it looks nice. Okay, I think that looks good. Let's check the highlight. Okay, so the highlight's much cleaner than before. Okay, so it's doing a little reverse. I think that's because of the series structure here. So I'm going to push this one down manually. Okay, so I'm just going to, well, first of all, yeah, let me just push this down a little bit, and that should hopefully give us the peak that we want. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to grab the whole row. 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to push it in like this. And we should, oh, it's actually not giving the peak. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm just going to manually do this. So I'm just going to grab this edge. And I'm just going to push it in a little bit. Just a little bit so that we can get our peak. I think it's actually flush over here. So a little peak like this. Just a little local. Oh, what's going on? The highlight looks terrible. Okay, so if that's the case, I probably need to grab another row. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 over here. One more here. And I'm just going to push it in a little bit like that. Let me make sure that I'm pushing in the right direction. So now, something like that. Okay, so I think that's good. The highlight looks, it looks a little bit funny, but I don't think it's, well, okay. So here's what I think I need to do. If this is the case, then I'm just going to realign this one. And I'm actually going to push the whole thing down. So auto scale G2 on, and I'm just going to push it a little bit. Now what that does is it pushes the CV down, which gives a little bit more peak on the curve itself. And that should help us. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 is curvature. I know there's a little boundary blend going on. And that should give us a nice peak like this. Now the highlight looks a little bit weird. So I'm going to try to see if I can make a little bit of adjustment. So, okay, so that's not good. Okay, so I think that's working. That said, I probably want to shift these rows of CVs a little bit. So now we got a nice highlight, nice CV structure. But I think I want to shift these a little bit to the right. So I'm just going to grab all these. I'm just going to move all of them. Not proportional modification, but just slide. Like this. Okay, and I think that looks good. Highlight's good. CV structure is good. I'm pretty happy with the fix. Okay. So now let's go to the front. Okay, so this might require a little more work. Let's see what I can use and what I cannot. This edge can probably stay as it. No, I probably have to make a modification a little bit. Okay, so that said, this one is no longer necessary, and this one I'm going to shift a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend this piece over here. So I'm just going to use extend from the top view. I'm hoping to recycle most of it. And I'm just going to do the same thing all over there. So I'm just going to hide this curve for a second. And I'm just going to extend this piece. And I'm also going to extend it over here. This one needs to be extended like this. This one extend. And over here, I'm also going to extend like that. Oh, not just one side. So extend the whole thing like this. Okay, so now let's see if I can make everything curvature. So I'm just going to project a line, this piece over here, like this piece over here, here and here. Okay, and I'm just going to check the CV structure. Okay, so this one I probably do need to do a little blending. So 1, 2, and blend factor of 0 seems to work a little bit better. So same thing over here. Blending on. Say extra 0 of 2, blend factor of 0. Same thing over here. And same thing over here. Oh, this one this one I can just leave because it's only a 3-degree surface. Okay, and now let's just check to make sure that it's not causing any problems. It looks like this needs a little bit of work. However, the internal, I'm just going to check the internal, the continuation, the curvature of these surfaces over here, which is stage curvature over here. So the only thing that I need to fix is this one. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to extend this piece over here like this. And I'm just going to do an align G2 edge over here like this. Now that should shift the CVs a little bit, but hopefully it won't be too much. I'm just going to say vector, and I'm just going to check the continue over here. Okay, so it did break the curvature over here by a little bit. So I'm going to just, the CV structure looks good. Actually, it could use a little bit improvement. So, well, let me just hide the curves layer. If you look at the CV structure over here, well, actually, it looks pretty good. Never mind. Okay, so let me just try to fix the alignment issue here, and that's curvature, so that's good. The internal continuity, curvature continuity is still good. And yeah, that was actually pretty quick. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to recycle some of that, but it looks like I was able to, and I was able to finish it quite quickly. Okay, so if that's the case, let me just bring these fillets back into the default layer. And I'm just going to hide this one. And here it is. Okay, so I'm just going to delete the construction history over here, and I'm going to do a little bit of trimming over here and here and here. And here it is. I think that looks pretty clean. All right. So I know this caused a little problem, but I was able to fix it and fix it, within a reasonable amount of time. And let me just make sure how this looks. So I'm just going to grab all these and project it from Y. And let me just compare against the front canvas. Let me just turn the rear off. Well, I think it's pretty similar to before. I was hoping that because I changed the angle, it'll be fitting a little bit better. But I think it just looks very similar. Okay. Anyways, we were able to fix this main issue of this highlight doing a little weird reverse peak, but we were able to get the resolved and everything else looks pretty good. So we're happy to fix. All right, so that's it for part 130. We will continue building in the next tutorial, and thank you guys for watching.